Hi there, Robert John Hadfield here again from Audiomover, talking about cool analog stuff. And you know, with the resurgence of records, vinyl, which has kind of become a big thing over the last several years, one of the things that's been kind of overlooked is the single. And this was a big deal back when records were a big deal. And I want to just talk about this a little bit. If you're not familiar with what this is, I'm going to explain it. And if you are, this will be a little bit of nostalgia for you. What would happen was somebody would put out a record, and you know, the record might have 10 songs on it, but maybe you didn't want to buy all 10 songs. You didn't want to spend that much on the whole album. What they did is they would put out singles. That's what this was called. And they would just put one song, usually, on each side of this record. So this record, instead of being 12 inches like the 33 1/3 RPM, which is what a record normally is, 33 1/3 revolutions per minute, that's how fast a record will spin, we called these 45s because they would spin at 45 revolutions per minute, 45 RPM. And so, anyway, that's where this thing got its name. And these were much smaller, and then they would just have one song. So here, for example, Guns N' Roses, this was one of the songs off of Appetite for Destruction. So you could go buy the album, the full 12-inch album that had all the songs, you know, front and back side. Or if you just wanted to have Sweet Child of Mine, which is one of the biggest hits off that album, you could go buy the single at a record store. And that's exactly what this was. Now, this was kind of a big deal because they could track in some ways the sales of specific songs and tell you what was the number one song. Some of that data they could derive from just sales or how many units they were moving of a particular single. And so anyway, I want to show you what this looks like. Not only would it spin at a different speed, but it also had a different middle. And I'll show you what that looked like. So I'm going to pull this one out. And you can see right there that it's kind of a little dirty. You can see that it has a totally different side right there. And so when you would put these on a turntable, you actually had to have this adapter that would go over the little post that this would then sit over. But this would play just like a regular record, except you had to change the speed from 33 1/3 to 45. In order for this to play correctly. Because if you left it at 33 1/3, this would go, you know, it'd be playing too slow. And so in this case, and what they would then do frequently is they'd put the hit song on side A, or this would be one of the sides, and then frequently on the second side, on side B, they would put another song that was less popular or less known from the album. And so this case, It's So Easy, which was also on Appetite for Destruction, they put this on the B side of the single. Now, interestingly, the B side sometimes, in a couple cases, I can't remember if it was Beth or Lady from Styx, Beth from Kiss or Lady from Styx, it might have even been both of them, were originally released as B-sides, and some DJ would flipped it over and played the other side, and that ended up becoming the hit, even though it wasn't intended to be. But these 45s were, they wouldn't always put a song from the album. Sometimes they'd put an unreleased song. I'll give you another example. The song Hey, Hey, What Can I Do from Led Zeppelin, that was never on a Led Zeppelin album. What happened was when Led Zeppelin put out Led Zeppelin 3, one of the singles was the Immigrant Song. And so they put out a 45 RPM with that single, the Immigrant Song. But if you flipped it over, they put out another song that didn't get put on the album that was called Hey, Hey, What Can I Do? And that was at the time, that was the only place you could get that song, was on the flip side of a single. And it was just one that didn't make the cut for Led Zeppelin 3, and yet it ended up becoming a huge hit for Led Zeppelin, even though they didn't put it on an album, but it was on the flip side of a 45. And other times sometimes they would put an instrumental version of the song on the front. They'd put that on the back. Or there were other times when they would just put the same song on the back. they'd put side A was this song and side B was the same song. So there were a lot of different things they would do with these, but the point was these were called singles. And we also referred to them as 45s because they would spin at 45 revolutions. So, and let's see if it says anything about that here. It doesn't. Sometimes they would actually have 45 written on it, but this one certainly appears not to. Anyway, but there's Sweet Child of Mine, has the date, has the who produced it, etc., etc. It says Guns N' Roses, Sweet Child of Mine. There it is, from the Geffen album Appetite for Destruction. And anyway, so that's what that's all about. And then a lot of times the cool thing too is they didn't always do this, but they would make this their own little sleeve that was kind of a variation of the album cover in some cases. And then sometimes they'd have artwork that you'd never seen before on these things, photos you'd never seen before. And in this case, I don't know if this photo was anywhere else, but there's the band. And it had this really cool picture of the group. And then it said here, Sweet Child of Mine, and then the backside is it's so easy. Oh, actually, interestingly, look at this. Okay, this is another thing that they would do on these 45s. It's so easy is on the flip side, but it's a live version of the song. So this really was an unreleased version of the song, even though this song was on the album. If you bought this single, you'd get something that no one else had. So it was a live version of that song. That's kind of cool. I never even noticed that before. But that's what these things were all about. And you'll see here that this was $1.99. So where the album, if you bought the entire album, would have been $7.99 usually to buy a record, the single to just buy the one song would be $1.99. And this whole idea of a single came back into vogue when iTunes showed up and you didn't have to buy the album anymore. That was the new version of a single, was you just buy the one song. And it cost you, what was it, 99 cents when iTunes first started. That was a variation of this idea. So anyway, that's what a 45 is. And I personally have hundreds of these things that go along with my record collection. I didn't think they were quite as cool, but they were sometimes fun to collect because, like I said a second ago, they'd have these oddball things that would make it unique and different, and so it was in some cases worth buying just because there was this cool variety with it. So anyway, hey, if you like these videos, please like and subscribe to the channel, and of course you visit Audiomover.com if you have old audio and videotapes that need to be converted to digital. That's what Audiomover does, and we'd love to help you out with that. So go to Audiomover.com, and with that, have yourself a fantastic day.